Thank you all very much, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you. I formally called this annual meeting of the National Governors Association to order. Looking at that video brings back memories, many of them painful. I want to thank the NGA team for just a phenomenal job over this past year. Nobody could have imagined what the NGA would be called to do, and they did it, and Bill McBride and his entire team. Governor Asa Hutchinson, thank you for the collegiality. Thank you for the friendship, the partnership over this past year. I want to thank Governor Hogan. He's not with us right now, but Governor Hogan was the chairman when I was the vice chairman. And he started with the beginning of COVID with the preceding administration. And Governor Hogan did a magnificent job. He really did. And in many ways, I followed his lead. And I want to congratulate Governor Phil Murphy as being vice chairman. Phil is my neighbor here, New York, New Jersey, and I can tell you he's going to do an extraordinary job because he's an extraordinary governor. And the entire executive committee who really pulled together, Charlie Baker and everyone else. I feel that all the words have been said. We have spoken more over the past few weeks than I've spoken to my family. But this is a transformational moment for the world. I don't think we go back to where we were. I think we're changed. I think we went through a trauma, and the challenge is to make sure that we are better for the trauma. And it was transformational for governors, to be sure. When I would go into schools, the students would always ask, what does a governor do? You know, they knew what a mayor did, right? The mayor does police, the mayor does sanitation. They know what a president does, but what does a governor do? Governors were sort of somewhere in the middle there. And that would be a question from students. No students ask that question anymore. People know what governors do and how important governors are. Circumstances brought the governors to the forefront of this nation. For better or worse. And these were difficult times. I mean, those early days were horrendous. No information, different information, no equipment, no masks, no tests, begging people for PPE, trying to work together to get planes to go to China to pick up PPE. I mean, it was just incredible. It was incredible. And it was remarkable, frankly, how unaware and in many ways unprepared this nation was, going through the tests and trying to find the tests and competing for tests and setting it up. And all the decisions we had to make were difficult decisions. And as elected officials, as people who participate in the political process, these were hard decisions because they were all controversial. They were also consequential because they were probably the most consequential decisions that governors had made in generations. They were literally about life and death. You make the wrong decision, people could die. But at the same time, that's why we are here, right? We all ran for these positions because we wanted to make a difference. I don't know that we appreciated how much of a difference we would wind up making. But governors have a new credibility. That is a fact. And I'm proud to say that I think we used it well. The governor's input led to an agenda for this nation and legislation for this nation that mainly followed our advocacy. Our voice in Washington was louder than ever before. I think it was informed. I think it was strong, but no doubt it was powerful. You look at all the legislation we got passed, the CARES Act, the funding, and not just the funding, but the discretion on how the legislation was written. I believe we maximized the moment as governors, and we maximized it by being unified. Now, we talk about bipartisan efforts, and we are a bipartisan group. We work together. It's partially the function of our position. You have to get things done. We don't have the luxury of going out and arguing an abstract and arguing an ideal. and blaming anyone else. As governor, there's nobody to blame. You can lament all you want about legislatures and politics, but the buck stops on our desk, and we get that. But it's not that bipartisan means the lowest common denominator. That's not what we did. We spoke truth to power. Governor Hogan spoke truth to power. He spoke the truth to his own party, even when it was hard. And I noticed that, and I respected it. And I tried my best to do the same thing. I raised the necessary issues even when they were thorny, and even when they were unpleasant, and even when they caused discomfort. Because bipartisan doesn't mean avoiding reality. It doesn't mean compromise so you don't create any confrontation. Sometimes there has to be confrontation to move forward. And I think the governors did that. I feel confident in saying we did the best work that we could do under the circumstances. The circumstances were impossible, but we did the best that we could do. And I'm proud of the effort that we led together. And I believe we saved lives. And I believe we brought this nation through this crisis in the best way that we could. Two specifics to leave you with. One, this will happen again. It may not happen during our tenure. It may not be a Delta variant. It may not be COVID, but there will be another pandemic. Let's learn that lesson. We had Ebola, we had Zika, we had MERS, we had SARS, we had dengue, and then we had COVID. But let's make sure that when we leave our state, we leave it better prepared for a pandemic and with a better public health emergency response than we found it. Yes, the federal government should be doing this. Yes, the federal government should have stockpiles and have an early alert system and work with the World Health Organization to come up with a real global notification system. But we also learned that when it gets tough, they look to the state. And let's make sure we leave our states better prepared so this never happens again. And the second point is, let's fight for this infrastructure bill. Let's get the best infrastructure bill that we can. But let's get the bill done. And when that funding comes, let's make the projects happen. And let's show the American people the extension of how effective state governments can be, and get that infrastructure funding and get it in the ground and build projects and show accomplishment and show the future post-COVID and show that government can work and it can work well. And a project can come in on time and it can be done well. That government performance is not an oxymoron. In closing, I thank you. I thank all of you. I thank you for all the conversations. I thank you for sharing all the stories. I thank you for the emotion. I thank you for the support. These were hard days for us to go through. And I found a lot of support in my colleague governors who, in essence, were in that same unique position. Very few people were going through what we went through, and we went through it together. And speaking for myself, it was a tremendous personal benefit. Governors have a new credibility. Governors have a new status. Let us use it well, and let us use it to do well. Thank you all very much.